The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Union had never been this loud. Ambassador Jura stood at her podium, watching as representatives from 100 worlds shouted at each other. Her smooth blue skin rippled with stress. The chamber's dome showed the stars outside, but those stars were dying. One by one, entire civilizations were going dark. "Order! I demand order!" Jura's voice boomed through the speakers. Slowly, the noise died down. She looked around at the faces. Some scaled, some furred, some made of crystal or light. All of them showed the same emotion: fear. Admiral Croven stepped forward. His massive insect body clicked against the floor. His forearms gestured to the holographic display in the center of the room. Red markers showed the advance of the Catharan swarm. There were so many red markers. 17 species are gone, Croven said. His voice was hard and cold. The swarm consumed the Marathi homeworld 3 days ago. 4 billion souls just gone. Our fleets cannot stop them. Every time we find a weakness, they adapt. Every weapon we use, they learn to resist. A representative from the Quelvan Empire spoke up. What about the Nova bombs? The weapons we banned after the Dark Wars? We tried, Croven replied. The swarm absorbed the radiation and grew stronger. They feed on energy. They feed on matter. They feed on us. Jura felt her hearts beating too fast. She had served on the council for 50 cycles. She had negotiated peace treaties, solved trade disputes, and ended conflicts. But this was different. The Catharan swarm didn't want territory or resources. They wanted everything to end. There must be something, a small voice said. It belonged to Dr. Yaren, a being made of living crystal. Light moved through their body as they spoke. Some option we haven't considered. Jura's hand moved to her data tablet. She had hoped it wouldn't come to this. Her fingers trembled as she accessed the restricted files, the ones that required 3 levels of security clearance, the ones marked with symbols that meant danger. There is one option, she said quietly. The chamber went silent. Everyone stared at her. But it terrifies me more than the swarm. She sent the file to the central display. A planet appeared. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. It looked beautiful, peaceful. The label read, Earth, Sol 3, status, quarantined. Gasps filled the chamber. Some representatives stood up in shock. Others backed away from the display as if it might bite them. You cannot be serious, the Quelvan representative said. The humans? You want to unleash the humans? I want to survive, Jura answered. And I see no other way. Croven's mandibles clicked nervously. The Terran containment protocol has been in place for 400 cycles. There were reasons. Very good reasons, Jura nodded. Yes, let me show you those reasons. The display changed. It showed old footage from first contact. Humans looked fragile. Soft skin, no claws, no armor, no natural weapons. They seemed weak. The early reports called them curious and friendly. The Union had welcomed them. Then came the incident at Proxima Gate. The footage showed a human merchant ship attacked by Vectar pirates. Standard procedure said to surrender, pay the ransom, and file a complaint. But the humans didn't surrender. 20 humans against 200 armed Vectar warriors. The battle should have lasted seconds. It lasted 6 hours. The humans fought with everything. They used tools as weapons. They set traps. They ambushed the pirates in corridors. When they ran out of bullets, they used knives. When they lost their knives, they used their hands. When they were wounded, they kept fighting. The Vectar pirates finally retreated, terrified. They had never seen anything like it. That was just the beginning, Jura said. We studied them. We learned what they are. More data filled the screen. Biology reports. Psychological profiles. Military assessments. Each one made the representatives more nervous. Humans evolved on a death world, Dr. Yaren read aloud. Gravity 1.3 times standard. Atmospheric oxygen levels toxic to most species. Predators evolved alongside them. They are persistence hunters. They can run for days without stopping. Their bodies produce combat stimulants naturally. They feel fear but choose to ignore it. They bond with their pack and will die for them without hesitation. Their military history is extensive, Croven added, reading another section. They fought wars that lasted generations. They invented weapons that could destroy their own planet. They had something called mutually assured destruction and lived with it for decades. They looked at extinction and decided to survive anyway. A silent delegate, her feathers puffed up in alarm, asked the question everyone was thinking. So why did we lock them away? Jura brought up the final report, the one from the Xenopsychology Committee. Because they don't stop, she said. When you fight them, they study you. When you wound them, they adapt. When you think you've won, they come back stronger. They have a saying, "What doesn't kill me makes me stronger." We realized that in any conflict, humans would eventually win. Not because they were the strongest or fastest or smartest, but because they absolutely refused to quit. The chamber was silent. The only sound was the hum of the station's life support. We thought we were protecting the galaxy, Jura continued. We put warning beacons around their system. We told them they were dangerous. We asked them to stay home, and they agreed. They accepted exile to protect us from themselves. For 400 cycles, they stayed behind that barrier. And now you want to let them out, the Quelven said. You want to give them weapons and point them at the swarm. I want to give us a chance, Jura replied. The Catharan adapt to everything, but they've never met humans. They've never fought a species that treats war like art, that turns every setback into a lesson, that refuses to accept defeat. Croven looked at the tactical displays. My fleets are losing. In 2 months, maybe 3, the swarm will reach the core worlds. A billion souls will die. If there is even a small chance the humans can help, they might refuse, Dr. Yaren pointed out. We abandoned them, locked them away like criminals. Why would they help us now? Jura had wondered the same thing. She had read human history. They could hold grudges. They remembered insults. But they also had something the Union had forgotten. Hope. We have to try, she said. I call for a vote. Should we break the Terran containment protocol? Should we ask the humans for help? The voting began. Jura watched the numbers climb on her display. Yes votes, no votes. Each one represented worlds full of people. Each one represented a choice between fear of humans and fear of extinction. The final count appeared. It was close, so close, but there were more yes votes than no. The motion passes, Jura announced. Her voice didn't shake, but her hands did. We will send a delegation to Earth. Who will go? Someone asked. Who will be brave enough or foolish enough to face the humans? Jura looked around the chamber. She saw fear in every face. These were diplomats, scientists, leaders, but none of them wanted this task. None of them wanted to knock on humanity's door and ask for war. I will go, she said. I brought this option to the council. I will see it through. Croven clicked his approval. I will send ships to escort you. Stay outside their weapons range. We don't know how they will react. Dr. Yaren stepped forward. I will come too. If we are to work with humans, we need to understand them. Jaura felt grateful. At least she wouldn't face this alone. She looked at the image of Earth still floating in the display. Such a beautiful world, home to such terrifying people. Prepare my ship, she ordered. Set course for Sol system, and send a message ahead. Tell them the galaxy needs them. Tell them we're sorry. And tell them we're asking the humans for what they do best. What's that? Dr. Yaren asked. Jura took a deep breath. War. We're asking them to go to war. As the council chamber emptied, Jura stood alone, looking at Earth. Somewhere down there, 8 billion humans were living their lives. They didn't know that tomorrow everything would change. They didn't know that their exile was about to end. She just hoped the galaxy was ready for what came next. The warning beacons started screaming as soon as they crossed into Sol system. Jura sat in her command chair trying to appear calm. Her crew was terrified. She could see it in the way they moved, the way they checked their stations twice, 3 times. Receiving automated message, her communications officer said. His scales were pale with fear. It says warning. Quarantine zone. Terran space. Turn back or be fired upon. This is your only notice. Send our diplomatic credentials, Jura ordered, and the council's authorization to break containment. Let them know we come in peace. Dr. Yaren stood beside her chair, their crystal body glowing softly. Look at this system. They've been busy. The display showed what 400 cycles of isolation had created. Mars was green now, with oceans and clouds. Venus had orbital mirrors cooling its surface. The asteroid belt was full of stations and refineries, and everywhere, ships. Thousands of ships moving between planets like insects around a nest. They built all this without Union technology. Jura said quietly. They did it alone. New contact, the sensor officer announced. Multiple vessels approaching. Fast, very fast. 6 human warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel right in front of them. They were smaller than Union ships but moved like predators. Sleek, aggressive. Weapons already charged. Incoming transmission, the communications officer said. A human face appeared on the screen. Female, dark skin, short hair, and eyes that looked right through Jura. She wore a uniform covered in symbols. This is Commander Jackson of the Earth Defense Force. You are in violation of the containment protocol. State your business or leave. Now. Jura stood up, making sure the human could see her clearly. Commander Jackson, I am Ambassador Jura of the Galactic Council. We have come to speak with your government. It is urgent. Urgent enough to break a 400-year quarantine? Jackson's voice was cold. The last time you people talked to us, you called us dangerous. You locked us in our own system. You told us to stay away from the civilized galaxy. What changed? Everything, Jura said. Please, let me speak to your leaders. What I have to say concerns the survival of every living being in the galaxy, including humans. Jackson stared at her for a long moment. Then she nodded. You can dock at Luna Station, but keep your weapons offline. Any aggressive moves and we will open fire. Are we clear? Perfectly clear, Jura agreed. The human ships escorted them to a massive station orbiting Earth's moon. Jura had seen the old images of Luna. It had been gray and lifeless. Now it was covered in domes and structures. Millions of humans lived there. As they docked, Dr. Yaren spoke quietly. Notice the architecture. It's designed for defense. Every angle, every corridor. If someone attacked this station, the humans could fight for weeks. Jura had noticed. Everything about human construction looked functional. No decoration, no art, just efficiency and strength. It made her sad. 400 cycles alone had made them this way. Commander Jackson met them at the airlock. She was tall for a human and carried a weapon on her hip. Her escort soldiers were all armed too. They watched Jura and Dr. Yaren with careful eyes. Follow me, Jackson said. Secretary General Santos is waiting. They walked through corridors filled with humans. Young ones, old ones, all types and colors. They stopped and stared at the aliens walking past. Some looked curious. Others looked angry. One small human child hid behind her mother, frightened. Jackson noticed Jura's expression. You're the first non-humans most of these people have ever seen. We teach them about the galaxy, about how you all decided we were too dangerous to meet. How do you think that makes them feel? Angry, Jura said. Isolated, abandoned. Right on all three counts, Jackson replied. They entered a conference room. Windows showed Earth hanging in space, beautiful and blue. 3 humans waited inside. A woman in formal clothes, an older man in a military uniform, and a younger woman in a scientist's coat. Ambassador Jura, the woman in formal clothes said. I am Secretary General Maria Santos. This is Admiral Chen Wei, commander of our military forces, and Dr. Sarah Chen, his daughter, head of our Xenobiology Institute. Jura bowed in the human style. Thank you for seeing us. We almost didn't, Santos said. She gestured for them to sit. The chairs were too small, made for human bodies, but Jura managed. 400 cycles. You know how many human generations that is? 20. 20 generations lived and died behind your barrier. 20 generations told they were too violent, too dangerous, too scary for the galaxy. And now you're here. Why? Jura had prepared a speech. Diplomatic words, careful phrases. But looking at Santos's hard eyes, she knew only truth would work. Because we're losing, she said simply. Because something is killing us. And because we have no other choice. She activated her data pad. Images filled the air between them. The Catharan swarm. Worlds being consumed. Fleets destroyed. Billions dead. Admiral Chen leaned forward, studying the images. His old eyes narrowed. What am I looking at? The end of civilization, Jura said. The Catharan swarm appeared 3 cycles ago. We don't know where they came from. They don't communicate. They don't negotiate. They just consume. They've destroyed 17 species completely. Our fleets can't stop them. Every defense we create, they adapt to. Every weapon we use, they learn to resist. Dr. Sarah Chen was taking notes. They're biological? Yes, Dr. Yaren answered. A hive mind. Billions of organisms acting as one. They feed on matter and energy. They grow stronger with every world they take. And you want us to fight them, Santos said. It wasn't a question. Yes, Jura replied. We want your help. Your warriors. Your weapons. Your human way of thinking. Our violence, you mean? Admiral Chen said. His voice was rough. 400 cycles ago, you said we were too violent. Too aggressive. That we scared the other species. Now you want that violence aimed at your enemy. Jura felt her skin flush darker. Shame did that to her species. Yes, I know how it sounds. I know we have no right to ask. But why should we? Santos interrupted. Give me one good reason why humans should die for people who abandoned us. The room was silent. Jura looked at each human face. She saw anger, yes, but also something else, curiosity. They wanted to know what she would say. Because you're better than us, Jura said finally. We locked you away because we were afraid. You accepted it because you didn't want to hurt anyone. We built weapons and called it defense. You built cities and called it home. We are old species, Ambassador Santos, comfortable, safe. We forgot how to fight because we never had to. But you remember. Your people survived ice ages, plagues, wars, everything. You climbed from caves to the stars in just a few thousand cycles. That's nothing, a blink. You did in moments what took us millions of cycles. She stood up, looking directly at Santos. You ask why you should help? Because if you don't, the galaxy dies, and maybe you think we deserve that. Maybe we do. But there are children out there. Billions of them. Innocent people who never voted to quarantine you. They're dying, and I believe, that humans won't let children die. Even if those children's parents were cruel to you. Santos stared at her. Then she looked at Admiral Chen. The old man shrugged. She's not wrong, he said. We're not the type to stand by and watch genocide. No matter how much we might want to tell them to solve their own problems. Dr. Sarah Chen spoke up. Can I see the biological data on this swarm? I want to know what we're fighting. Does that mean you'll help? Dr. Yaren asked, hope in their voice. Santos stood up and walked to the window. She looked at Earth for a long moment. When she turned back, her face was serious. We'll help, she said. But understand this, Ambassador. You're not just getting soldiers. You're not just getting weapons. You're getting humanity. All of it. The good, the bad, the crazy, the brave, the stupid, and the brilliant. We don't do anything halfway. When we fight to win. No matter the cost, she walked over and offered her hand. Jura knew this was a human gesture of agreement. She took Santos's hand. It was warm and strong. We fight to win, Jura agreed. Together. Admiral Chen pulled up the tactical displays. How fast can you get our forces to the front lines? 3 days, Jura said. We'll be ready in 2, Chen replied. Commander Jackson, start mobilization. Full deployment. Call up the reserves. Contact the colony worlds. Tell them the quarantine is over. Tell them Earth is going to war. Jackson saluted. Yes, sir. Welcome back to the galaxy, sir. As Jura left the meeting, she felt relief mixed with fear. The humans had agreed to help. But watching them move into action, seeing the speed and efficiency of their preparations, she wondered if she had made the right choice. The galaxy had feared humans for 400 cycles. Soon everyone would remember why. The defense line at Kepler 442 was falling apart. Admiral Croven watched his tactical display turn red sector by sector. The Catharan swarm was overwhelming his ships. In 6 hours, maybe 8, the line would break completely. Then the swarm would have a clear path to the core worlds. Sir, more ships lost, his aide reported. The Thoraxian Third Fleet is down to 30% strength. They're requesting permission to retreat. Croven wanted to say yes. Every instinct told him to pull back, save what he could. But there was nowhere left to retreat to. This was the last line. Tell them to hold position, he ordered. Help is coming. Sir, with respect, what help? We have no reinforcements. The Council, the humans are coming, Croven said. They promised to arrive today. His aide's antenna drooped. Everyone had heard about the humans, the scary species from quarantine. But the aide clearly didn't believe 20 human ships would make a difference. Not against this, Croven didn't blame him. He had doubts too, but he had seen the old reports. He had watched the footage from Proxima Gate. If even half of what he read was true. New contacts, the sensor officer shouted. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL, transponders read as human, the display updated. 20 human warships appeared in formation. They were smaller than Union vessels, uglier too. They looked like tools built for one purpose, war. Open a channel, Croven ordered. A human face appeared on screen, an old man with gray hair and sharp eyes. Admiral Croven, this is Admiral Chen Wei of the Earth Defense Force. We're here to help. What's the situation? Bad, Croven said honestly. The swarm is breaking through our center line. We can't hold much longer. Chen studied the tactical display for exactly 3 seconds. I see, we'll take the center position. Pull your ships back to support positions. Admiral Chen, there are thousands of swarm organisms in the center. Your 20 ships will be enough, Chen interrupted. Trust me. We've fought worse odds. Pull your people back. This is going to get messy. Kroven wanted to argue, but something in Chen's voice stopped him. Confidence, complete, total confidence. He gave the order. His ships began pulling back. The human fleet moved forward. They didn't fly in neat formations like Union ships. They moved like hunters, like pack animals surrounding prey. Jura stood on Kroven's bridge. She had insisted on watching the first battle. Now she gripped the railing, afraid of what she might see. Swarm ships engaging humans, the tactical officer reported. The Catharan swarm ships were living things, grown not built. They fired bioplasma and used acid clouds for defense. They adapted to every weapon. Kroven had learned to fear them. The humans opened fire. What are those weapons? The tactical officer asked. I've never seen energy signatures like that. Nuclear missiles, Jura said quietly. Fusion warheads. The humans still use them. Kroven stared in shock. Those weapons are banned. The radiation alone. Humans don't care about radiation, Jura said. They evolved in it. Their planet is full of it. To them, it's just another weapon. The missiles hit. Swarm ships exploded in brilliant flashes. But more came. Always more. The swarm adapted quickly, growing new armor that could resist the nuclear blasts. They're learning, Kroven said. Just like always. But the humans were already changing tactics. Railguns fired metal slugs at incredible speeds. Lasers cut through swarm armor. And then the human ships did something Kroven had never seen in 400 cycles of military service. They rammed. No, Kroven whispered. They can't be. A human destroyer accelerated to ramming speed and crashed directly into a swarm biocruiser. The impact tore both ships apart. Escape pods launched from the human ship even as it died. They just sacrificed a ship, Kroven said in disbelief, on purpose. In the opening minutes of battle, acceptable losses, Jura said. She had read that phrase in human military documents. She understood it now. Humans calculated death as part of their strategy. More human ships pressed forward. They didn't try to avoid damage. They went straight into the heaviest fighting. It was insane. It was brilliant. It was terrifying. Human troops are boarding the swarm vessels, the sensor officer reported. I'm reading life signs inside multiple swarm ships. Boarding? Kroven's mandibles clicked in confusion. Nobody boards swarm ships. The interior is toxic, acidic, full of parasites. It's suicide. Admiral Chen's face appeared on screen again. Admiral Kroven, we're sending in our Marines. Major Volkov is leading the assault. You might want to watch this. A new video feed opened. It showed the interior of a swarm bioship from a helmet camera. The walls were alive, pulsing with organic systems. Acid dripped from the ceiling. The air itself looked poisonous. A voice came through, calm and steady. This is Major Elena Volkov. Breaching now. Explosive charges blew a hole in the ship's hull. Human Marines poured through. They wore armored suits and carried weapons that looked primitive compared to Union technology. Bullets, chemical explosives, simple kinetic weapons. But they worked. The Marines moved through the ship like they had practiced this 1,000 times. They communicated in short, quick words. They covered each other. When swarm organisms attacked, the humans killed them efficiently. Sergeant Mensa, plant the charges, Major Volkov ordered. A large human, his armor marked with symbols, ran forward. Swarm organisms swarmed him. He didn't stop. He just kept running, firing his weapon one-handed while carrying a pack of explosives. I'm hit, Mensa reported. His voice didn't change tone. Acid burned through my left arm. Still functional. Keep moving, Volkov said. Jura watched in horror. The human's arm was badly wounded. She could see blood through the damaged armor, but he kept going. He reached the ship's core, a massive pulsing organ that controlled the bioship, and started placing charges. Corporal Tanaka, get to Mensa, Volkov ordered. Patch him up. A smaller human rushed forward. On it, Major. Tanaka reached Mensa and pulled out medical supplies. She worked while fighting off swarm organisms with one hand. She sealed the wound, injected something, and slapped Mensa's helmet. You're good, she said. Try not to lose the other arm. No promises, Mensa replied. Jura heard something in his voice. He was laughing. The human was wounded, surrounded by monsters planting bombs, and he was laughing. Charges set, Mensa reported. 30 seconds. All teams extract now, Volkov ordered. The Marines ran back to their entry point. They moved fast, even the wounded ones. When swarm organisms blocked their path, they didn't go around. They went through. Bullets, blades, and pure aggression cleared the way. They reached their boarding craft with seconds to spare. The explosives detonated. The swarm bioship tore itself apart from the inside. Target destroyed, Volkov reported. Her voice was still calm. Moving to next target. Next target? Kroven said. They're going to do that again? 3 more swarm ships are being boarded as we speak, the tactical officer confirmed. The humans are destroying them from within. The battle lasted 3 hours. In that time, the humans did things Kroven had thought impossible. They rammed ships at full speed. They boarded vessels no species had ever survived inside. They used weapons the Union had banned centuries ago. They took casualties that would have broken any other fleet, but they didn't break. They didn't retreat. They just kept fighting. When the swarm finally pulled back, the defense line was holding. Barely. The human fleet had lost 6 ships out of 20. Thousands of Marines were wounded or dead. But they had won. Admiral Chen contacted Kroven again. Admiral, the line is secure. We'll hold this position while you reorganize your forces. You lost almost a third of your fleet, Kroven said. He couldn't keep the shock from his voice. Could have been worse, Chen replied with a shrug. We accomplished the mission. That's what matters. Your people, Kroven started, then stopped. He didn't know what to say. They're very brave. They're human, Chen said simply. This is what we do. The connection ended. Jura stood on the bridge, staring at the tactical display. The human ships were already organizing, preparing for the next fight. Their casualties were being treated. Their damaged ships were being repaired. They moved like this was normal. Like war was just another day, Ambassador, Kroven said quietly. I understand now why you locked them away. I understand why the Council was afraid. Yes, Jura replied. Now imagine what happens when they're not on our side. That night, Jura met with Major Volkov in the medical bay. The Major was having her wounds treated. Burns on her legs, broken ribs, dozens of smaller injuries. But she was smiling. Ambassador, Volkov said. Come to see how the scary humans do things? I came to say thank you, Jura replied. You saved thousands of lives today. Just doing our job, Volkov said. She winced as the medic worked on her ribs. Besides, nobody messes with innocent people. Not while we're around. You lost people, Jura said. I saw the casualty reports. 237 Marines. Each one someone's child, parent, friend. How do you cope with that? Volkov's smile faded. We remember them. We make their sacrifice mean something. And then we go back out there and fight harder. For them, for everyone who can't fight. That's the human way. Jura felt her hearts clench. These humans, these violent, scary, dangerous humans, were also the most honorable people she had ever met. The swarm will adapt, she warned. They'll learn from this battle. Next time will be harder. The memorial service was held on a human carrier called the Indomitable. 300 Marines stood at attention in the hangar bay. Major Volkov stood at the front, her face hard as stone. Behind her, 300 empty helmets sat on rifles pointed into the ground, one for each Marine lost in the past month of fighting. Jura attended, standing quietly at the back. She had been to Union memorial services. They were formal, careful, focused on remembering the peaceful lives the dead had lived. Human memorials were different. They died fighting, Volkov said to the assembled troops. Her voice echoed in the huge space. They died protecting people they'd never met, species who feared them, worlds that wanted nothing to do with us. But they died anyway, because that's what we do. We protect the innocent, no matter the cost. A young Marine stepped forward. He looked barely 20 cycles old. His name was James O'Brien, but everyone called him Lucky. He had survived 3 boarding actions that should have killed him. His voice shook as he spoke. Sergeant Martinez saved my life on the swarm bioship at Kepler 448. I was down, acid eating through my suit. He threw himself over me, took the acid on his own armor. Died so I could live. I want everyone to know he was a hero, other Marines spoke. Each one told a story. Each story was about sacrifice, about humans choosing death so others could live. When the service ended, the Marines didn't cry. They sang war songs, battle hymns, music about fighting and dying and never giving up. Jura found it beautiful and terrible at the same time. After the service, she found Admiral Chen in his office. He was studying reports, his face tired. The past month had aged him. "Ambassador," he said, "what can I do for you?" "The Catharan released a new bioweapon 3 days ago," Jura said. "It killed an entire human battalion in minutes. 2,000 people, they died badly, screaming. I came to offer condolences." Chen was quiet for a moment, then he pulled up a file on his screen. "My daughter Sarah and her team already analyzed the weapon," he said. "Took them 48 hours to understand it. Another day to reverse engineer it. Now we're weaponizing it." Jura felt cold. "You're turning their weapon against them?" "That's what humans do," Chen replied. "Every attack makes us stronger. Every weapon they use, we learn and improve." The swarm made a mistake. They made this personal, he was right. Jura had noticed the change in human forces after the bioweapon attack. They fought harder, faster, with a cold fury that scared even her. The swarm had killed humans using a weapon designed specifically to cause suffering. Now the humans wanted revenge. "How many ships has Earth sent?" Jura asked. 300 more arrived yesterday, Chen said. "Colony worlds are sending their fleets, Mars, Venus, the asteroid belt stations. We're mobilizing everything. Even civilian ships are being converted to carriers. Your entire civilization is going to war," Jura said. "Yes," Chen agreed. "We don't do anything halfway. When we commit completely." Jura had seen it. Human cargo ships carrying troops, mining vessels modified with weapons, even tourist cruise ships repurposed as mobile hospitals. Every human, from the youngest to the oldest, was contributing something to the war effort. It should have made her happy. The tide was turning. Human forces were pushing the swarm back. Worlds that had been hours from falling were now secure. But something bothered her. She had been accessing Union Council communications, secret ones, and what she found terrified her. "Admiral," she said carefully, "what will your people do after the war? When the swarm is defeated?" Chen looked at her with those sharp old eyes. "Go home, I imagine. Back to Sol System. Unless the Union decides to lift the quarantine." "And if they don't?" Jura asked. "If the Council decides humans are too dangerous again?" "Then we go home anyway," Chen said. "We didn't come here for thanks or membership. We came because it was right." Jura made her decision. She pulled out her datapad and showed him the encrypted files she had stolen. "You need to see this," she said. Chen read in silence. His face didn't change, but his hands tightened on the desk. The files were from Council members. Plans to re-quarantine Earth after the war. Plans to disable human ships. Plans to ensure humans never left Sol System again. Some Council members even suggested destroying Earth's shipyards, making sure humanity could never build a fleet this large again. "How long have you known?" Chen asked quietly. "A week," Jura admitted. "I've been trying to stop it. But there are too many Council members who fear you. They see what your people can do and they're terrified." "They should be," Chen said. His voice was cold. "We're winning their war for them. Dying for them. And they're planning to betray us." "Not all of us," Jura said quickly. "Many Council members want to welcome humans fully. End the quarantine. Make Earth a full member of the Union, but the others think we're monsters," Chen finished. "Useful monsters right now, but monsters that need to be caged when we're done." He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, human and Union ships flew together in formation. Training together, fighting together. It looked like friendship. But Jura now understood it was temporary. "Does your crew know?" she asked. "We've known since the beginning," Chen said. "We're not stupid, Ambassador. We know how the Union sees us. We came anyway. Why?" Jura couldn't understand it. "Why help people who will betray you?" Chen turned to face her. "Because children are dying. Because genocide is happening. Because it's the right thing to do. We're not doing this for the Council. We're doing this because we're human. We don't let innocent people die. Not if we can help it. Even if those people's leaders are planning to stab us in the back." Jura felt ashamed. Her own people, her own Council, were preparing to betray the species that was saving them, and the humans knew. They had always known, but they fought anyway. "What will you do?" she asked. "Win the war," Chen said simply. "Everything else comes after." On the front lines, the war was changing. Humans had learned the swarm's patterns. They knew how the bioships adapted, how the organisms evolved. They were using that knowledge to devastating effect. Major Volkov led her Marines on a mission deep into swarm territory. Intelligence had found something. A massive structure at the center of swarm space. Larger than a planet, it pulsed with bioenergy. Dr. Sarah Chen believed it was the nexus, the brain of the entire swarm. Destroy it and the swarm would collapse. This is it, Volkov told her team. This is how we end the war. Her team included Lucky O'Brien, now promoted to corporal. He had survived too many battles. Stopped being lucky, started being skilled. He stood with his rifle ready, checking his equipment one more time. Think we'll make it back? He asked Sergeant Kojo Mensa. Mensa, his arm fully healed now, grinned. Does it matter? We're saving the galaxy, kid. That's bigger than any of us. Corporal Yuki Tanaka, their medic, finished her own checks. I didn't join the Marines to live forever. I joined to make a difference. They all knew this mission was dangerous. Maybe impossible. The Nexus was protected by millions of swarm organisms. Getting close would be hard. Getting inside would be harder. Getting out alive? That was the impossible part, but they were human. Impossible was just another challenge. Dr. Sarah Chen joined the mission with a team of scientists. They would analyze the Nexus while the Marines protected them. Then they would upload a virus into the bio-neural network, not to destroy the swarm, something better, something more human. They would reprogram it. We're going to hack a planet-sized hive mind, Dr. Chen explained to Zhura before they left. Turn its own systems against it. Make it consume itself instead of the galaxy. Zhura couldn't find words. That's brilliant. And insane. That's human, Dr. Chen said with a smile. We don't just solve problems. We turn them into solutions. The fleet prepared for the final assault. Human and Union ships together. Thousands of vessels. This would be the largest battle in galactic history. Everything depended on it. Admiral Chen stood on his bridge looking at the tactical displays. Zhura stood beside him. After this is over, she said quietly, I'm going to the council. I'm going to tell them what I saw. How humans fought for people who feared them. How you knew about the betrayal and helped anyway. I'm going to fight for Earth. I'm going to make them understand. Thank you, Chen said. But you don't have to. We didn't come here for acceptance, I know, Zhura replied. That's exactly why you deserve it. The fleet jumped to faster than light travel. When they emerged, the Nexus filled their screens. It was massive, alive, pulsing with the energy of 1 billion swarm organisms. All ships, Admiral Chen ordered. Attack formation. This is for everyone who died, everyone who suffered, everyone the swarm took from us, humanity. Show them what we do to monsters. The human ships surged forward. Behind them, Union vessels followed. Together, they dove into the largest battle any of them would ever see. And somewhere in the fleet, Lucky O'Brien checked his rifle one more time. He thought about Sergeant Martinez, about all the Marines who had died, about the promise they had made, protect the innocent, no matter the cost. He smiled. Time to keep that promise. The space around the Nexus was chaos. Thousands of ships from both sides fought in a battle so large it could be seen from nearby star systems. Swarm bioships died by the hundreds, but more kept coming. They were protecting their heart, their brain, their everything. Admiral Chen watched the displays, his face calm. Major Volkov's status? Approaching the Nexus surface. Volkov's voice crackled through the communication. Heavy resistance. We're pushing through. Her transport ship dodged between swarm vessels, firing at anything that got close. Inside, 50 Marines and Dr. Sarah Chen's science team prepared for landing. They could see the Nexus through the windows now. It looked like a living planet, covered in organic structures that pulsed with light. That's what we're boarding? Lucky O'Brien said. That's not a ship. That's a nightmare. Best kind of target, Sergeant Mensa replied. Big means lots of places to blow up. The transport crashed through the Nexus's outer membrane. Acid sprayed across the hull. Alarms screamed, but the ship held together long enough to reach a landing zone. The Marines poured out, weapons ready. The surface of the Nexus was alive. Everything moved. Walls breathed. The ground pulsed like a heartbeat. Swarm organisms immediately attacked, but the Marines were ready. They formed a defensive circle around the scientists and fought. Dr. Chen, how long do you need? Volkov asked, shooting a swarm creature. 20 minutes to find the neural center, Sarah Chen replied. She was scanning with handheld equipment, looking for the Nexus's brain. Another 10 to upload the virus. You've got 15 total, Volkov said. We can't hold longer than that. Then we'd better hurry, Chen said. They moved deeper into the Nexus. The corridors were organic, wet, and wrong. Everything tried to kill them. Acid dripped from above. Organisms attacked from all sides. The floor itself tried to digest them, but the humans kept moving forward. Lucky O'Brien stayed close to a young alien soldier named Turin. The Velkari fighter was terrified but trying to be brave. Lucky had been teaching him human tactics during the voyage. "Remember," Lucky said, shooting another organism, "fear is just your body preparing to fight. Use it, don't let it use you." "I'm trying," Turin said, his voice shaking. "You're doing great," Lucky assured him. "Just stay with me." Meanwhile, in the Citadel, Jura stood before the Galactic Council. Half the council was watching the battle on displays. The other half was watching her. She had called an emergency session. Now was the time to speak. "Members of the council," she said, "I have evidence of a conspiracy, plans to betray our human allies after they win this war." The chamber erupted in shouts, some angry, some denying, some supporting her. "This is not the time," one council member started. "This is exactly the time," Jura interrupted. "Right now humans are dying for us. They're fighting the Nexus itself, giving their lives to save species who planned to betray them. And they knew. They knew about the conspiracy and they came anyway." She pulled up footage from the battle. A human transport exploding as it delivered Marines to the Nexus, escape pods launching. But not enough. Hundreds of humans dying. "Look at them," Jura said. "Look at what they're doing for us. And tell me they're monsters. Tell me they're too dangerous. Tell me we should lock them away after this." Admiral Croven stood up, his forearms spread wide. "I have fought beside humans for 2 months. I have seen them bleed. I have seen them die. I have seen them save Union soldiers when they could have saved themselves. If we betray them after this, we are not worthy of the civilization we claim to have built." More council members stood. One by one they voiced support. Not all, but enough. The tide was turning. "We will vote after the battle," the council speaker announced, "on whether to fully accept humanity into the Union. No more quarantine. No more fear. But that vote depends on what happens today." Inside the Nexus, Major Volkov's team was running out of time. They had lost 20 Marines. Another 15 were wounded. Corporal Tanaka worked frantically to keep people alive. Sergeant Mensa threw grenades like they were going out of style, and Lucky O'Brien protected Tyrion, teaching him to be a warrior. "There," Dr. Chen shouted. "The neural center." It was a massive chamber filled with pulsing bio-neural tissue. This was the brain, the thing that controlled trillions of swarm organisms across hundreds of systems. Destroying it would kill the swarm, but Dr. Chen didn't want to destroy it. "Setting up the upload," she said, connecting her equipment to the neural tissue. "This is going to take 5 minutes. We don't have 5 minutes," Volkov said. Swarm organisms were flooding into the chamber. "Too many to fight, then make time," Chen snapped. The Marines formed a final defensive line. They fired until their weapons overheated. When they ran out of ammunition, they used knives. When the knives broke, they used their hands. They fought like humans always fought, with everything they had. Lucky O'Brien saw a massive organism heading for Dr. Chen. Tyrion was in the way, frozen with fear. Lucky didn't think. He just moved, threw himself in front of the young alien. The organism's claw went right through his armor, through his body. "Lucky," Volkov screamed. Lucky fell. Tyrion caught him. The young Velkari was crying. "I'm sorry," Trin said. "I froze." "You saved me." Lucky smiled. Blood came from his mouth. "That's what humans do. We protect our friends. Now you know how to be brave. Not fearless, just brave enough." "Upload complete," Dr. Chen shouted. The neural tissue started changing. The virus was spreading through the Nexus's systems, rewriting instructions, changing priorities. The swarm organisms stopped attacking. They stood still, confused. "Move. Move," Volkov ordered. "Get to the transport." They ran, carried their wounded. Mensa picked up Lucky's body. "I'm not leaving him here," he said. They made it to the transport. Barely. The ship lifted off as the Nexus started convulsing. The virus was working. The swarm was consuming itself, fighting itself, dying. Admiral Chen watched from his flagship as the Nexus collapsed. The swarm ships stopped moving. They just floated in space, lifeless. It was over. After 2 months of brutal fighting, it was over. "All ships cease fire," he ordered. "The swarm is dead." Cheers erupted across every ship, human and alien alike. They had won. They had actually won, but the cost had been terrible. Chen pulled up the casualty lists. 20,000 humans dead, 50,000 wounded. Entire ships lost, entire marine battalions gone, and for what? To save people who feared them. Jura contacted him from the Citadel. Admiral Chen, the Council is voting now. On Earth's membership. On ending the quarantine. I don't care about their vote, Chen said tiredly. I care about getting my people home. I understand, Jura said. But please, watch. The vote happened while the fleets were still counting their dead. It was close, so close. But when the final count appeared, it was yes. Yes to Earth, yes to humanity. Yes to ending 400 cycles of fear. The quarantine is lifted, Jura announced, tears running down her face. Earth is a full member of the Galactic Union. Welcome home, humanity. 6 months later, Jura attended another memorial service. This one was on Earth. A massive monument had been built for all the humans who died in the war. 20,000 names carved in stone. She stood with Tyrion beside Lucky O'Brien's name. The young Velkari had requested to come. He wore a human marine uniform now. Earth had offered to train him, and he had accepted. He taught me something, Tyrion said quietly. That being scared is okay. That courage isn't the absence of fear. It's choosing to act despite it. He taught all of us that, Jura agreed. The monument's inscription read, "They chose to save us. We chose to honor them. May we never forget either choice." Major Volkov, now General Volkov, stood at the front of the ceremony. She was older now. More scars. More gray hair. But her eyes were still sharp. We didn't fight for thanks, she told the assembled crowd of humans and aliens. We fought because it was right. Because children were dying. Because monsters needed to be stopped. But I'm glad we're not alone anymore. I'm glad the galaxy finally sees us as we are. Not monsters. Not weapons. Just people. People who will always stand up for what's right. No matter the cost, the crowd was silent. Then they started clapping. Humans and aliens together. For the fallen. For the survivors. For the choice that changed everything. Admiral Chen retired after the war. He opened a small restaurant on Earth with his daughter Sarah, but he kept in touch with Admiral Croven. The two old warriors had become friends. Jura became the Union's ambassador to Earth. She lived in Geneva learning about human culture, their art, their music, their crazy beautiful way of seeing the universe. She learned that humans weren't scary. They were just passionate. They loved hard. They fought hard. They lived hard, and sometimes late at night she would visit the monument, stand beside Lucky's name, and remember the young human who died saving an alien he barely knew, who taught that alien how to be brave. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy. Not their weapons. Not their tactics. Not their ability to win wars. Their gift was showing everyone what it meant to choose courage, to choose sacrifice, to choose to help even when it cost everything. The galaxy had asked one question: unleash the humans. The humans had answered with their own question: why wouldn't we help? And that answer changed everything. Forever. The Council had made their final choice, to accept humanity. But the humans had made their choice first.